Well, good afternoon. What a warm, sunny day here in Simsbury, Connecticut. My name is Mike, and I'm going to introduce you to my 1934 Ford Deluxe, Model 40A, body style 73B, four-door Deluxe. We got the car in 2005 from a fellow in Nebraska. He had it stored for 40 years in his barn, and he was the second owner. We're the third owner. Brought the car back on a flatbed, and then started working on it, and did so for the next 6 years, totally refurbished it. And then for the last 6 years, we've just enjoyed using it. It has 4,700 miles on it. We're going to take a look around the car very slowly. We're going to take a look under the hood. We're going to take a look also inside the car. And then finally, we're going to take a look underneath the car at the under panel location. So why don't we start to walk around the car now slowly, and I'll just go through some of the high points of the car. The car has hydraulic brakes. They're purchased from the early V8 garage, West Covina, California. A great product. It has a 12-volt electrical system, which we entirely rewired the entire car with that system. It has electronic windshield wipers and heater. It has a 3.54 to 1 rear-end ratio. It has seat belts and shoulder belts. The shoulder belts are secured on the B-post and they're welded very nicely. The block is welded very nicely. It has a 59A engine block with 4-inch crankshaft, completely rebuilt. Mallory ignition, the electronic ignition, the 1939 transmission rebuilt by Mack Van Pelt. It has cast iron Fenton headers, dual exhaust with stock mufflers and resonators. It has a complete felt stainless steel beading for window glides. It has Stromberg 48 carburetor, and we do have a spare newly refurbished Stromberg 97. We kept the 48 on there because it has a slightly higher CFM value to it. We have an entire file system and library dealing with the 1934-33 Fords, and that's completely available going with the car. We have a new and used spare parts, including original transmission, a drive-away kit for long-distance driving. I think I did say this car is completely newly rewired, including turn signals and emergency lights. The car has 16-inch spoke wheels. The spoke wheels are from a 1935 Ford. That was the last year of the spoke wheels for the Ford. 1935. We have white wall radials on there, Dunlap back, Diamondback Dunlop radial tires. We have individual parts, sheet metal off the body, off body primer, paint, and top coat on the car. Garnishes and dash are newly wood grain via a Taiwan underwater method. It's a really strong and solid method for garnishing with wood grain. The dashboard is configured with a 1933 Ford cluster in place of the glove box and offers a tach, volt, and amperage gauge. We'll take a look at that when we check inside the car very quickly. The interior it is interior soundproofed and then newly replaced upholstery with a mohair LeBaron Bonney kit. An engine compartment rear storage box on a firewall. Take a look at that too. Most all the parts of the car are new or refurbished. A few left as is, did not need replacement or rework. The specs and a list of extras can be sent to you if you contact us. We'll be happy to do that. We're going to take a look underneath the hood and inside the car now. Okay, and underneath the hood peak, we're looking at the car. This is a flathead. Obviously, it's a 59AB. That is a 1939 to 1948 flathead. We've removed the battery and put it up front where it's very accessible. Normally, it's underneath the seat, and you can get to it very easily there. We have a alternator here instead of a generator. It's a 12-volt system. This is a Stromberg 48 carburetor. This is a 1935 air cleaner, 1935 Ford, and it has the original 1934 intake manifold there. Down here, if you can see it, we have Fenton headers, cast iron headers They're wrapped with aluminum tape just to keep the noise level down. I really like a quiet car, and that's why we put resonators on the car as well. It does have a Mallory ignition system over here with an electronic ignition system. Let's just walk around to the other side, Christopher, and see if we can see anything else within the driver's side. This black box here is kind of unusual. It is it's not stock, obviously. It's an ignition contact system. Up here, this is unusual. This is a very rare storage box. We have our tools in there for if we have a flat tire or if we have other things. A drive-away kit is in there, and it is a very rare kit, but it does belong up there, and they were available back in the early 30s. I think that's about it. Everything is very clean and well organized in here. We're going to stop now and take a look inside the car. Okay, before we close the hood flaps, we're going to start her up. Give you a chance to listen to what it sounds like. It does have it's a 59A block, as I indicated. It is a 1939 to 48 style flathead. It has a 4-inch crank, and it does have a mild cam, and it's an ISKI 77B. You'll probably notice that from the idle condition. Let me go in and start it up now. The car is warm. That hesitation that you hear is typical of that cam. We'll let you get a feeling for how the car runs when we're on the highway. But at this point, this is the idle situation, and we'll take a look underneath inside the car. We're bringing the camera inside the car here so you can take a look at what we have. The car has been completely reupholstered with the LeBaron Bounty kit. It's a good kit. We had some, you need to have some patience to put this kit on if you're going to do it yourself. But we did, and it's on and it looks great. All comes even with that shade in the back window there. That shade actually came with the car when we bought it in Nebraska. Can you believe that? We had fun putting the upholstery on, my wife and I, and it's turned out very nicely. Christopher's looking at a door panel right now, I think. That's a back door panel. It is a 4-door, suicide doors. And that panel, all 4 panels have a ring down here. This ring is applied by welding brackets on the inside, so it's very sturdy. And you close and open the doors by pulling this ring, by not pulling a handle or a window crank. You'll ruin the handles on the window crank, so that's why we have these rings on here. It's 1933 door opening, closing rings. The upholstery is all buttoned and it's all mohair. The front seats, by the way, you can't see that right away, I'll just tell you, are slightly contoured. They're foam rubber front seats for better ride stability. Both the front and the passenger seat are slightly contoured or beveled for more comfort. The rear seat is a replacement new spring seat, and that's a Ford type seat. Looking at the front of the car, or at the dash of the car, you can see that it is symmetrical. I really strive to do that. The dashboard has been replaced a little bit. On the driver's side, where there was a glove box, we've removed the glove box and put a 1934 cluster on the front, which is registering a tachometer, a volts, and ammeter, and it completely complements the dash on the driver's side, the left-hand side. So it's a symmetrical condition situation. Here are the operations for the heater. It's a heater and defroster. We have Volkswagen defroster vents up here. They fit perfectly, as well as a Volkswagen turn signal, which is painted black and fits right in with the car. The car does have electric windshield wipers, 2 windshield wipers, and they work just fine. These are 1934, I think they're actually 35. Visors, wind visors, very sturdy. And the car has been totally rugged, new rugs in the car. That's been done by a local actually Granby, Connecticut fellow that does nothing but reupholster vintage cars. Did a great job. Down here, very down low, I don't know if you can see that, Christopher, there's a fire extinguisher. We have that down there just in case we do encounter some kind of a fire. Back underneath here is another circuit board. There's 3 circuit boards in the car. We saw one under the hood, that black box. This is the second one underneath the dash on the driver's side, and the third one, you won't see it, is way in back and back of the back seat. It gives us ease of hooking up and wiring the car. Okay, I think that's about it. Oh, we do have courtesy lights in the car. Courtesy lights in the back seat, a dome light which is stock to the car, and a courtesy light up here in the front, right here. Are very, very handy at nighttime. When you open the doors, the courtesy lights go on. Close the door, they go off. The doors all have individual door locks, and that's all been put in as well. Otherwise, the car is pretty much stock on the inside here. The seat belts Christopher's pointing to, yeah, that's a B-post. Those seat belts, shoulder belts, were installed by welding plates to the B-post and then installing the seat belt buckle system to that welded plate, so they're very secure. The belts on the lap belts on the bottom here are secured underneath the car with the special pan bolts which hold them on in a very secure position. So in the event of an accident, the seat belts will go a long ways for safety purposes. Did I miss anything, Christopher? Is that about it? I think that's pretty much it. The garnishes, Christopher is probably looking at now. Again, the garnishes, oh, that's an extra 12-volt outlet in case you want to put a cooler back there and plug in a cooler. That's what that's all about. Otherwise, oh, we do have a rear light on the back, Christopher. Just look, turn around, look at that. That's the third tail light that's required now. And that has also turn signals in it as well as a stop light. So we have turn signals in that light, turn signals down at the bumper level on the rear, and turn signal lights on the front in the headlights. So we're fully equipped with turn signals, almost like a Christmas tree, I was told at one time. Okay, we're going to drive over to our lift, and we're going to put the car on a lift, and so that you have a chance to look underneath the car. Okay? Okay, one last thing before we put the car in the lift. Christopher wants to show the garnish arrangement on one of the doors here. This is the passenger side suicide front door, and you're looking at the garnish moldings here. One thing I want to point out here is these garnish moldings are all secure with stainless steel screws as well as stainless steel buckets under the screws. So that ensures that you don't ruin the garnish when you turn the screws tight. One way you can tell the age of a 34 Ford and when it was made within the year is by the door handle here. The earlier models from January all the way through May had a door handle way up front here, right where my hand is. The later models from May, June, all the way through the end of the year, the door handles are mounted back where this one is. So you can see that this car was made after the May time period. All the doors have locks on them. An elbow rest here. Again, the 4 rings on the door to pull and open and close the door. And these are some of the original door window cranks. By the way, this car comes stock with this opening on the front windows. This was a real revolution, they thought. You can kind of air condition the car by opening just slightly, let the air go through into the back seat, out a back window. It does work. It works very well. When we open the window here, we can see that there's rubber molding all along each window, along the stainless steel beading, to keep the water out from, when it rains, to keep the water from going inside the door panels, even though there are little holes underneath each panel to let the water come out should it get in there. All the new fuzz packs in here, so the windows are very tight. One thing I really don't like is a car that rattles, and these windows are tight. They're not about to rattle. Okay, I think with that, Christopher, we will start to shoot the under portion of the car. Okay, here we are on a lift. Christopher is shooting the license plate, the four-door license plate. If there happens to be a Connecticut buyer, we can probably arrange for him, if he'd like, he or her, to own this license plate. We'll have to see how that goes. Right now we're going to creep underneath the car. We have dual exhausts. These mufflers, these exhaust pipes have been welded on. The entire exhaust system is not clamped but welded from front to back. There's no rattles, shakes, or rolls in the exhaust system. Looking at this rear leaf transverse leaf spring system here, we had to add a leaf. We added one of the long leaves in here was 11 leaves, and in some of the nomenclature you see 11, and some you see 12. It depends on where the car was built. So we felt the car was bottoming out, so we went and got an extra leaf, put it in. It was kind of a job, but it was worth it. It doesn't bottom out anymore at all. Looking over here to the shock absorbers, Christopher, I don't know if you can see that right here. 4 shock absorber, obviously, 1 for each wheel. They've been totally restored, updated by a shock absorber guy here in northwestern Connecticut. Still does it, as far as I know. So they're all relatively new. The exhaust system is interesting. I don't like noisy exhaust, so once I got the car, it was too noisy. I brought it back to the exhaust guy and had him put on these resonators that you see here, 2 resonators in addition to the 2 stock mufflers, and it didn't make much difference. The car still, as far as I'm concerned, runs too noisy, and I think that's because of the headers, the cast iron headers. So I've wrapped the exhaust system here because it's with this titanium wrap is relatively close to a fuel line. I just didn't like that safety factor, so that's been wrapped. And the fuel line right here, the rigid fuel line, has been encased in a fireproof line, so it's just not going to get any disturbance from that hot muffler. Over here, we're looking at the master cylinder. This is part of the brake kit that we installed. Flexible lines. As far as hard lines here, you're looking at the emergency brake system right in here. It works very nicely right here. Sorry, right here is the emergency brake system. Works very nicely. The braking is very solid, very good. It's 1939 Lincoln style brakes, which have been modified to fit this car. So they've done a good job on that. Moving forward here a little bit, Christopher, we have the oil pan here, and that 59. This is a 59A block, AB block, with the oil pan that you see here. The spare motor, which by the way comes from Joe, doesn't it, Joe? Yeah. It's an 8RT. The block, the oil pan comes down a little bit further, maybe 3/4 or an inch further, so it's a little bit closer to the ground. Otherwise, it's the same as the 8RT engine. Coming forward here again, stock springs, a spring cluster set. Here we have a radiator, a bleed valve that works very nicely. We just bled the radiator the other day and cleaned it out. I like to do that once a year. Again, you're looking at some of the brake system here, the hydraulic brakes, hard line and flexible lines to allow the wheels to turn and still be intact. Coming to the front of the car here, nothing really too much to see. It's all stock. We have what's left over from the mechanical brake system, these loops here, but they're fine. We'll leave them that way. Again, the shock absorbers up here do a good job. They're all been updated and they're working fine. The brakes are adjusted through this slot here, as anyone that works with these cars knows very well. The hood, or the grill I should say, is the original grill in the cars. It goes back to 1934. It's still in very good shape, so we've just kept it there. These grills, to replace these grills, are extremely expensive, about $3,000 for a replacement grill, and they're not nearly as good as the original grill, so we've kept it there. And gosh, I think that's about it. Anything you want to add, Christopher?
No.
No? Okay. There you have it. Okay, we're on not a major highway, but we're on a road that allows us to run around 50 miles an hour. And we're up to 50 now. Take a couple of turns up here, so we'll drop the speed down a little bit. But I want you to get an idea of how the car handles at relatively high speeds. Very stable, and does not have power steering, but you get used to that after a while. And we're up to 50 now, and it likes 50. It's a kind of a cruise speed. Much beyond that, the car is not designed for. It's too boxy, too much air resistance. So this is probably your best speed when traveling long distances. At this speed is pretty stable. That should do it.
Go.
Okay, we're up to speed again, close to 60 this time. And one thing that's worth mentioning, you can't see it, Christopher, but down below in the accelerator dial here, just below are two temperature gauges. One gauge is for fuel or water going into the radiator, and the other gauge is the water coming out of the radiator. So you get an idea of how much work the radiator does. It's good. These cars are prone to heating up, and this car has never done that. The radiator core was flushed out, cleaned, and pressure tested before we finished the build. We're very happy with the heat conditions of the car. But it's fun to just watch these two gauges and see exactly what work the radiator does do. There you go. Okay, the last part of this video is going to be a drive up and down this road. It's just a very short distance, less than a quarter of a mile. And Christopher is just going to follow me up and follow me back. Shouldn't take long at all. Okay. That did it. Hope you enjoyed it. I sure have. Call me. Let me know if you want the car. Thank you. Bye.